wewe Bwana,
Bwana Omega,
ni wewe,
kimbilio letu,
ni wewe,
fariji mwema,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe Bwana,
sema ni wewe,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe,
peke yako,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe Bwana,
sema ni wewe,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe,
unaweza,
ni wewe, ni wewe Bwana,
kimbilio letu,
ni wewe,
tetezi letu,
ni wewe,
fariji mwema,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe Bwana,
unayetupenda,
ni wewe,
unayetujali,
ni wewe,
unayekomboa watu wako,
ni wewe,
Yesu,
ni wewe Bwana,
tunakungojea,
ni wewe,
Bwana Yesu,
ni wewe,
ni wema kwetu,
ni wewe, ni wewe
asante kwa peke
Bwana,
yako Yesu, ni wewe peke yako, ni wewe Yesu,
ni wewe, ni wewe Bwana,
mtetezi wetu,
ni wewe,
Alfa na Omega,
ni wewe,
fariji mwema,
ni wewe, ni wewe Bwana,
Toiga papa niwega, toiga papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utuponda murenya. Toiga papa niwega, toiga papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utuponda murenya.
Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya. Pega Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya. Pega Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya. Pega Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya. Pega Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya. Pega Papa niwega, Pega Papa niwega, Rev.Mbogo zaidi, utukona mudenya.
Twasema asante, ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante,
ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, ulitufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana. Twasema asante, twasema asante, umetufanya waombezi usiku na mchana.
Asante sana Yesu, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana kwa wema wako Bwana, kwa wema wako, kwa wema wako Bwana, kwa wema wako. Asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana kwa huruma zako Bwana, kwa ukuu wako, kwa ukuu wako Bwana, kwa ukuu wako. Asante, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana kwa neema zako, asante kwa neema zako Bwana, kwa neema zako, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana. Newega mono Jesu, newega mono, 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 newega mono Jesu, newega mono. Asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana, asante sana Yesu, asante sana. Kanisa, naomba sote tukaweze kusimama, tukaweze kuabudu Mungu wetu kwa pamoja. Asante sana Bwana, kwa nguvu zako Yesu, kwa nguvu zako, kwa nguvu zako Yesu, kwa nguvu zako Bwana, kwa huruma zako Baba, kwa huruma zako, kwa huruma zako Bwana, kwa huruma zako. Put hands together and celebrate the Lord. Hallelujah. Weka kelele mbele za Bwana. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Amen. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Amen. Tunaenda kumsifu Bwana adhuhuri ya leo. Amen. Hallelujah. Weka mikono yako pamoja, mpigie Yesu. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele kwa Yesu. Jamani. unanichezea Yesu. Ametenda maajabu, ametenda maajabu, ametenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu ametenda,
ametenda maajabu, ametenda maajabu.
Huyu Yesu
ametenda maajabu, maajabu.
Wewe umetenda,
umetenda maajabu,
umetenda Bwana,
umetenda maajabu,
umetenda Bwana,
umetenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu,
oh, umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu umetenda,
umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu.
Paza sauti useme,
umetenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu,
wewe Bwana unaokoa, tena Yesu unadumisha, hakuna mwingine kama wewe. Maajabu umetenda, umetenda,
umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu, maajabu.
Yesu umetenda,
umetenda maajabu,
Bwana
umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu,
Bwana wewe unaponya, kwa mapigo yako Yesu tumepona. Tunasema Bwana ni asante, maajabu umetenda, umetenda,
umetenda maajabu,
Yesu
umetenda maajabu,
Bwana
umetenda maajabu, maajabu. Yesu,
wewe Bwana umetenda,
umetenda maajabu, umetenda maajabu,
Yesu
umetenda maajabu, maajabu.
wapisha Bwana vigelegele kwa Yesu. Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe,
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe,
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe, tuimbe.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe,
Inua Yesu,
Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe,
oh, yeye ni mwaminifu, Bwana ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe, tuimbe.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe,
Oh, nitamwimbia Bwana, nitamwimbia Yesu,
nitamwimbia Bwana, nitamwimbia Yesu,
oh, nitamwimbia Bwana, nitamwimbia Yesu,
nitamwimbia Bwana, nitamwimbia Yesu,
mimi nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
oh, nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
mimi nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
nitarudia Bwana, nitarudia Yesu,
mimi nitachezea Bwana, nitachezea Yesu,
nitachezea Bwana, nitachezea
oh,
Yesu,
nitachezea Yawe, nitachezea Yesu,
nitachezea Bwana,
nitasifu Bwana, nitasifu Yesu wangu.
Nitamsifu Bwana, nitamsifu Yesu.
Nitamsifu Bwana, nitamsifu Yesu.
Nitamsifu Bwana, nitamsifu Yesu.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe, Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe. Tuimbe.
Bwana wa majeshi leo ainuliwe,
Inua Yesu.
Bwana wa mabwana ainuliwe.
Nitamwinua Bwana, nitamwinua Yesu.
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 Nitabariki Bwana, nitabariki Yesu.
Nitabariki Bwana, nitabariki.
Haya, inua mikono yako juu, inua. Wapi shangwe na vigelegele? Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi namuinua.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi namuinua.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ametenda mema huyu Yesu, ndiyo maana mimi nampa sifa.
Ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
ndiyo maana mimi
nampa sifa.
Yesu,
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 Bwana,
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 Bwana.
katikati ya miungu sijaona Mungu kama wewe.
Mungu kama wewe.
Katikati ya miungu sijaona Mungu kama wewe.
Mungu kama wewe.
Katikati ya miungu sijaona mfalme kama wewe.
Mfalme kama wewe.
Katikati ya miungu sijaona mfalme kama wewe.
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 Hakuna 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 kama wewe.
Pokea sifa Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda. Sasa yu hai, umeashinda mauti. Pokea sifa,
Pokea sifa Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda.
sasa
Sasa uhai umeashinda mauti.
tunakupenda,
Tunakupenda nakupenda Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda.
Sasa
uhai umeyashinda mauti. Unatawala Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda. Sasa uhai umeyashinda mauti.
Makofi ya juu, makofi ya juu, makofi ya juu. Makofi, 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 makofi. Pokea sifa Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda. Sasa uhai umeyashinda mauti. Pokea sifa,
pokea sifa Bwana wa Mungu uliyeshinda. Sasa uhai umeyashinda mauti.
Nayo sababu ya kumsifu Bwana maishani mwetu.
Ninayo sababu ya kumtukuza Bwana maishani mwangu.
Ninayo sababu ya kumwinua Bwana maishani mwangu.
Ninayo sababu ya kumtukuza Bwana maishani mwangu.
Tunayo sababu ya kumwinua Bwana maishani mwetu.
Ninayo sababu ya kumtukuza Bwana maishani mwangu.
Msalaba wa Yesu, msalaba umeniokoa dhambi. Haleluya.
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 Msalaba wa Yesu, msalaba umetuokoa dhambi. Haleluya.
Msalaba wa Yesu, msalaba umeniokoa dhambi. Haleluya.
Twagaiwa kwawe
wa magegania. Gaiwa kwawe wa magegania.
tukwendete
we wa magegania. Tukwendete we wa magegania.
Wabarare
we wa magegania.
Twagaiwa kwawe
Gaiwa kwawe wa magegania. Gaiwa kwawe wa magegania.
Yesu moyo.
Emoyo Jesu, emoyo. Ekyo dera imani todo.
Antonyaga dende wa kanisa.
Akashusha menya magadira. Kanisa okarogera Jesu. Ekyo dera imani todo.
Emoyo Jesu, emoyo.
Emoyo Jesu, emoyo. Ekyo dera imani todo.
Antonyaga dende wa ayubi.
Akashusha menya magadira. Ayudi akarogera Jesu. Ekyo dera imani todo. Emoyo.
Moyo wangu usilie tena, moyo wangu
usibabaike. Tunaye Mungu mkuu sana, tunaye Mungu uweza wa yote. Moyo wangu, usilie tena, moyo wangu, usibabaike. Tunaye Mungu mkuu sana, tunaye Mungu uweza wa yote. Moyo wangu, usilie tena, moyo wangu, usibabaike. Tunaye Mungu mkuu sana, tunaye Mungu uweza wa yote. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Ninajua shida zako, mimi Bwana wako nitazitatua. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Ninajua shida zako, mimi Bwana wako nitazitatua. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Kati vita, Yesu mwamba wangu. Kati huzuni, Yesu ni mfariji. Kati giza, Yesu mwamba wangu. Katika njaa, Yesu mkate wa uzima. Yesu kimbilio, hajawahi kuniacha. Yesu mwamba wangu, mahali pa kujificha. Yesu kimbilio, hajawahi kuniacha. Yesu mwamba wangu, mahali pa kujificha. Anajua shida zangu, yeye anazitatua. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Aniingia rohoni mwangu pakutulia, ananiambia ewe mwana usilie. Ninajua shida zako, mimi nitazitatua. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Bila Yesu mimi ni mtupu. Ndani ya Kristo ninaweka tumaini langu. Sijui bila wewe Bwana wangu ningekuwa wapi. Ndani ya Kristo ninaweka tumaini langu. Sijui bila wewe Bwana wangu ningekuwa wapi. Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu. 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 Wewe ni yote Yesu. Fungua kinywa chako just mwambie yeye ni yote. Yeye ni Mungu mwaminifu. Ukitaka uponyaji, Yesu ndiye mponyaji. Yeye ndio kimbilio letu. Yeye ni yote kwetu katika maisha yetu. Tunakiri Yesu, wewe ni yote kwetu. Umekuwa nguvu yetu, umekuwa msaada wetu Baba. You've been King all the glory, our guide. For that we declare that you are all in all, Jesus. Wewe ni yote Yesu. Wewe ni yote kwangu. Wewe ni yote kwangu. Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu. Wewe Yesu. Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu. Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu. Wewe ni yote. 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 Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu. 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 Yawe, wewe ni yote kwangu.
Basi kama hivyo tu, inua mikono yako tu tafadhali. Unaweza tu kuinua mikono yako juu. Uweze tu kumwambia Bwana tunakuhitaji hata wakati huu. Mwambie tu Bwana tunakuhitaji, maana uponyaji wa moyo hauwezi kufika na ukatimia pasipo imani yetu kuielekeza kwake Bwana. So chukua tu nafasi hiyo, mwambie Bwana njoo kwa msaada wangu, maana kweli tukimuita Bwana husikia. Ni kweli tukimuita huyu Bwana husikia, maana hata akiwa magumu anayafanya mepesi. Tuombe. Baba, katika jina la Yesu Kristo tunalisifu na kulinua jina lako tukufu na takatifu. Nasema ni asante kwa ajili ya nafasi hii njema ambayo Bwana umetupatia. Baba, tangu siku ya Alhamisi umekuwa pamoja nasi, Mungu. Baba, tunashukuru kwa sababu ya mioyo ambayo Bwana umeendelea kuponya. Tunakushukuru kwa sababu ya nafsi ambazo Bwana umezitia nguvu. Nasema ni asante Bwana kwa sababu ya imani zinapoendelea kuimarika. Nakushukuru Bwana kwa sababu ya huzuni zinazoondoka. Nakushukuru kwa sababu ya matumaini mapya ambayo Mungu wa mbinguni unajenga katika mioyo yetu. Baba, tunasema ni utukuke na uinuliwe na uheshimiwe. Na tunakiri ya kwamba Bwana hata sasa hatuwezi bila wewe, hatuwezi bila uwezo wako, Mungu mtakatifu. Kusikia ni neno moja, lakini pia Bwana kulielewa neno lako ni kitu kingine. Pia kujifahamu na kujielewa, Bwana. Tunakuhitaji wewe Bwana unayetujua zaidi kuliko tunavyojijua. Basi Bwana Mungu mwenye neema, tunapoenda kuketi na kulisikia neno lako Bwana, na tunapofunua jinsi mioyo yetu ilivyo na jinsi hisia zetu zilivyo, Baba twaomba uwepo wako uwe pamoja nasi. Asante kwa sababu wewe ni Mungu. Pokea sifa, utukufu na heshima. Kwa Yesu Kristo twaomba na kuamini. Amen. Amen. Tunapoketi nataka aweze kuweka mikono yetu pamoja na tushukuru Bwana kwa sababu ya praise and worship. Tunashukuru sana maana wameendelea kutuongoza vizuri katika ibada hiyo. Thank you so much. Unaweza tu kuketi mpendwa, kwa sababu ni vyema. Basi tunapoendelea kujiandaa kusikia mtumishi wake Mungu, ni vizuri kuulizana ni nani ambaye amekuwepo siku zote 4. Amen. Naweza kuona mikono. Very good, very good. Watu wamekuwepo. Asante sana. Naona watu nani amekuwa siku 2 ama siku 3? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So kuna watu tumefuatilia. Nani amekuwa siku 2? That means jana ulikuwepo na leo uko. Yes. Asante sana na nashukuru sana. Nani ambaye leo ndio siku yake ya kwanza? So we have a number. Thank you so much. Ni vizuri. Tunashukuru kwa sababu yako umefika. Asanteni kwa sababu tumekuja na tumekuwa hapa. Pia jana tulikuwa na nafasi ambapo tulikuwa pia tunajifungua mioyo na kuna watu waliandika maswali, si ndio? Na tukayasoma tu pamoja. Hakuna mtu aliyejua ni nani alikuwa anasoma ya nani. Lakini hayo mambo tunayoyasoma hivyo ni mambo ambayo yanafanyika kwa kila mtu, na mara nyingine unaweza fikiria ni wewe peke yako yanafanyikia, lakini yako kwa mtu mwingine. So wakati yanapoenda hivyo, wewe pia unajifanya nini? Unajiweka mahali fulani, unasema kumbe sio mimi peke yangu. Praise the Lord. Mwangalie mwenzako, mwambie mapito unayopitia sio wewe peke yako. Hata maandiko yanasema sio wewe sio peke yako, lakini pia kuna uwezo, si ndio? Mwambie uwe na matumaini, ili baada ya hapo utasema si mwambie hivyo. Baada ya yote utasema praise the Lord. Si unaona hiyo kupumzika unaposikia at least nimetua mizigo. Praise the Lord. Amen. So tunataka wakati huu nisichukue nafasi zaidi, ila niseme ya kwamba tunashukuru kwa sababu yako kufika. Wacha tutambue watu waliotoka kule milele. Watu wa milele wako. Watu wa milele. Simameni tu tuwapigie makofi kama mmesimama. Sasa kila mtu aliyeketi apige makofi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hawa walikuwa na session lakini wamesema it is not enough. They are here, si ndio? Thank you so much. Yes. Wale tuko St. Margaret. St. Margaret tusimame. Very good, very good. Wale wameketi tupige makofi. Asante sana. Basi wageni wetu wasimame. Wow. Thank you so much. Hao ni wageni wetu. Asante sana. Sasa mjisikie mko huru. Sasa hii ni darasa moja, sawa? Sasa hakuna mgeni, hakuna mwenyeji, ni darasa moja. Sasa kwa hivyo usianze kufikiria we ni mgeni. Lakini kwa sababu unaweza pengine kuna mambo mengine hutokea ukajikumbuka we ni mgeni. Kuna sehemu ambazo unaweza kuenda hapo na ukapumzika kiasi wakati kama habari hizo zimekuja. Kuna sehemu moja iko ukizunguka hivi unaweza pata sehemu moja, utapata sehemu ambayo ni imechorwa tuseme ni dume na jike, sawa? Najaribu kutafuta lugha. Pia ukienda hivi kuna hall yetu hapa ambapo tunakula. Ukipanda juu hapo ni watu wanaosimama. Juu unapanda ni wanaume wanapanda. Lakini hapa chini ni kina mama. Sawa. Najaribu kutafuta lugha. Ni lugha natafuta, so nielewe vile ninavyomaanisha. Maana kuna picha inachorwa, si ndio? Kuna picha inachorwa. Sasa unajua tunaongea kwa Kizungu male and female. Kwa Kiswahili sasa simple. So tunashukuru Bwana. So wakati unichukue nafasi hii, si ndio? ili nimkaribishe mwalimu wetu Reverend Macharia. He has been very instrumental to this parish, not today, not yesterday, but many days. And ukimsikiza tu utataka kumsikiza tena, si ndio? So wakati huu nataka nimkaribishe Reverend Macharia ili aweze kuja na kuendelea katika nafasi hii ingine tunapotamatisha washa hii. Karibu sana.
Hello. Am I on? You can hear me? Okay. Na wengine mmekaa mbali, mnaogopa? All these benches are free. Why can't you sit in front? Wale wako mbali huko, beyond the pillars, come forward. Come forward. All of you behind the pillars. I can't see you. Mnapigiwa makofi, okay? Wapigie makofi mpaka wafike tuwapigie makofi. Everyone that is behind the pillars, I can't be able to see you. Okay. All right. Okay. Bwana asifiwe. Okay, this will be our final session, and it will be a little bit fast, and then it will mix a few issues. Let me give you a little bit of background. I will talk about child trauma because you are the parents. Yesterday I was with your children. There were about, how many? Maybe like about, how many were they? 100? Mujiristi. How many children did you have? And 29 of them got born again. 29 of them. 29 of them got born again, and today I'm very happy to receive testimony from father to blessings. Father to blessings. Because blessings went home, and the first thing she told her father is that I am born again. You know, when you stop getting excited about people getting born again, you know you are backsliding from faith. Did you know that? If people getting saved doesn't excite you, and it means nothing, your own faith is on its way out. You have to be you know, the Bible says heaven stops. Heaven stops when one soul comes to the Lord. Heavens, and we need to be like the heavens. Okay? And then our churches will need to be evangelistic. We need to look for the lost. It is Leonard Bonke who used to say that any church that does not reach for the lost within its vicinity. What did he used to say the rest of the statement? Maybe Reverend Phoebe might know, but I don't want to mention the rest of the statement. Find out what he said. Okay? So children trauma. I want to mention something on children trauma because it is important for us to understand what is happening to your children. It moved my heart deeply. Kids were crying here, they were writing, they were expressing their pain. Your children are deeply traumatized. Your children are, especially those age, I normally deal with the children age 8 to 13. 8 to 13. And then the others, I also group them together, maybe from age 14, going all the way to age 20 or 21, 22. So these children were deeply traumatized. And then they brought out real issues. They bring issues and you wonder, are these adults? Are these adults or are they children? Your children know more than you think they do. But also I'd like to say, it is important for you to know how to handle your child when they have trauma. All right? Because children are getting trauma from home. From home. There are some that are beaten because they have trauma. Why are you having trauma? Okay? You beat them up, but you call it something else. As you beat them, you don't say it is trauma. You say they are not doing this, they are not doing this, they are not doing this. But what you don't know is that the child is sick inside. They need treatment. If your child had malaria, would you beat them because they have malaria? You have a broken, you broke your leg? You little nothing. Would you do that? Now, mental health illnesses are real sicknesses. So we can't beat them. Even teachers should never beat a child who is traumatized. That is abuse. We treat them. We take them to someone who can teach them, somebody who understands about child psychology. And yesterday morning, I had a session with the teachers who handle children, and some of the parents I've talked to. And that's why I thought I want to take like a few minutes right now. So I'll be talking about children trauma and how you can support your child who is traumatized. Many of your children, especially because there have been many deaths in the church. We have lost so many people in the church. And many times when, as the church, we go to comfort the families, we comfort the adults. Do we comfort the children? They just remain there to be seen, but not be comforted. In other words, they are not traumatized. Then you should have been here yesterday. We were here with the Reverend Phoebe. We were here with the evangelist. Yeah, and many of you, some of you, the teachers who are here with us, you saw the pain that children have. And we need to reach to the others. That's what the chairman was saying today. We need to bring the other children and have like a camp meeting for all the children, if there are 200 of them, on a holiday. And we should have done it this holiday, a whole 2 months holiday. We need to heal them. The problem with child trauma is because about 65% of adult trauma started as children. They grew with it and nobody did anything about it. They become adults. Every time I'm doing, the first session I do when I meet a client or a patient is assessment and evaluation. And one of the things I do is I go back to childhood experiences because I want to know, when did it start? When did it start? Even Jesus, before he prayed for people, sometimes he would say, huyu mtoto wenu amekuwa hivi kutoka lini? Because history, medical history, Dr. Mudhuri will tell you how important medical history is. To know when things started, then we are able to know the progression. How serious did things get along the way? What was done? Interventions, were there any that were done? Did things deteriorate as we watched? So, because we need to create environments within our homes that is safe for children. Safe environments right at home. There are things we do to help children find healing within our homes. And there are things we will do that will make children get plunged deeper into trauma. And this, I'm talking of children like young kids, age 6. Some of the clients I have for children are as little as age 6. 6 years of age. And they are so bright, smart, but they need to be taken through sessions. Sometimes we do sessions for adults, and I always ask, what about the children? Because we are doing session for you. What about the children? Where are they? Oh, okay. Maybe we can also do something for the children. That is how much it is. And it did start with you. Don't hate yourself. The elders in the time of Jesus, they were trying to stop children from coming to Jesus. He has no time for you. Don't disturb the master. He's executive Jesus. You know, if Jesus was here today, he would be executive Jesus, who wouldn't be able to have time for children. In the morning, I preached here about Luke chapter 8, where Jairus picked him up to go and heal his own daughter. That's how he was down to earth. He wouldn't be wearing a 3-piece suit. He wouldn't. So when kids were running to him, people are saying, no, he has no time for you. Just said, that is wrong. Let them come to me. And he picked them up and he blessed them. That's what we need to do about children. That's what we need to do about children. I sat one time for a training many years ago about our new constitution to be trained on children's rights in the constitution. And I've seen the document that we have is like most that we have around the world. If a child is going through problems and we do nothing about it, you know what the law says should happen to you? If a child is being molested next door and we do nothing about it and we have the knowledge, we are just as guilty as the perpetrators of that crime. That's what the law says. And action should be taken against us. And that is the same law in many states in the US, including Texas. They find out whether did any adult know that a child was being molested. If we say, yes, I knew it, then they ask you the next question, what did you do about it? Then you say, I didn't do anything about it. Then under the penal code, you are charged. And if you're convicted, there's a jail term. Now, what about us in the church? Do we want to go through the law, or do we want to be concerned about our children because this is good and right for us to do? There are two things I said yesterday to the teachers. There are two very important components that children have. Two of them. One is innocence. Two is trust. Children know how to be just innocent. Their little hearts and minds are just innocent. Children also are very trusting. Tell them anything and they say, yes, daddy, yes, mommy. That's how children are. But what adults do, they prey on this innocence and this trust. That is why abuse happens in homes, or why it keeps going on and nothing is happening about it. So your children are here and they went through so much and it touched my heart so much. They are more expressive than adults. They were just like this, me. Then you hear such child say, traumatized. Another one says, depression. Another one says, I feel empty, emptiness. Another one says, uncomfortable. Another one says, fear. Another one says, anger. And they, sadness. And they went with it. And those are the things that I'm teaching you about adults. They are happening to the children. So we need to be able to do something about it. Children experience emotional pain just like adults do. It's normal for them. Emotional pain, the child has emotional pain. Let me tell you, you will never walk in a house that has bereavement again and console the adult, the man and the wife, or maybe if it's the man who left the wife or wife left the man, and after this session, you will never walk there and comfort adults and leave out the children. You will feel guilty after this session. You know, the Bible says in Acts chapter 17, that the days when people didn't know, God did what? God did what? Another version says that he pretended that he can't see. When people didn't know, he just pretended he can't see what is happening. But that same verse should be verse 30. It says that, but now God commands men everywhere to be born again and to come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ. So they suffer emotional pains and they go through the normal patterns. And as they go through the normal patterns, some of the way they will behave is short-term, but they also have long-term pain happening in their lives. They are drained, they are destroyed. It affects their study ability, concentration, executive functions of children. Did you know children have executive functions just as you do? They do. Concentration, decision making. Children also do the same. And if we do not do anything about it, then their short term becomes the long term. I told you that the problem with mental health problems is they don't get better with the time. They get worse with the time. And some of the physical diseases are that way. If no intervention is done, they become worse with the time. Children also express high levels of distress. Even one of them said, stress. I said, what do children go through when they're going through emotional pain? One child said, stress. Did we know children are stressed? Yes, they are. Children get stressed. But people, adults think that they are the ones who get stressed because they are looking for money, fees. Usinipe stress. Unasikia mzazi ameambia mtoto usinipe stress. Sometimes the child also should say to the parent, hata mimi usinipe stress. Because sometimes they are getting stress right from the same parent. And the fact that we are parents doesn't mean that we have power, unbridled power over the kids. We need to be fair. The Bible says what in Ephesians? Parents do what? Nijilistic. The first master's degree I did was in the Bible. And I combined it with psychology. That's why I do Bible-based trauma healing. Yes, the children, right? That is the parent. Children, obey your parents. But then what is the role of the parents towards? Is there a role of parents towards the children? There is. So we don't overdo that. They also exhibit increased behavior problem. Increased behavior problem. Some of the children behave badly. And you saw the papers we were reading yesterday here, the answers I was giving to all your questions. They behave badly. Child behavior, delinquency. They behave badly. It's an indicator of trauma. They don't need to be beaten, including addictions. They're taking bangi, they're taking alcohol, they're taking what? Trauma. People want to abuse stuff because they are traumatized. Even little children who run away from school, they will beat other children, they will do all manner of bad stuff, they don't finish their homework. Trauma is inside the child. Does beating a child take away trauma? Parents? When we beat them when they are traumatized, does it take away their trauma? It doesn't. I told you how our mom would shut us outside, maybe for bad behavior. But I thought, hey, Mom, this is a little bit too much. But it was terrible. You're beaten until the fingers cannot write in school tomorrow. So there are things we can do, and then is exasperating. It is gone far beyond. That is what this word means. We shouldn't be able to do stuff like that. They have behavior problems. And I will tell you, little children, if they are very small, they are wetting bed. If you find your child is wetting bed, don't beat the child. Find out why are they wetting bed all of a sudden. It's trauma. If the grades are going down in school, don't beat them. You have to have good grades. No. Find out. Sit with the teacher. And I know we have teachers here. Find out why are the grades going down. Because trauma will take the grades down. Because they no longer have functioning executive functions of the brain. They are not working anymore. They are not able to make decisions. And it happens to you as adults. There are times you feel confused. Some of them say they are confused. There are times you feel confused. You can't make decisions anymore. And you know who saves you? The wife saved you that day. She saves the day. If things were dependent on you, they would go wrong. Mama saved the day. And that's why it is great when two people are together, partners. When one is down, the Bible says they lift the other one up. There are days when you are confused, you are depressed, and nothing is happening. Children also have a before I go to the children, difficulties in developing healthy relationships. I've said little children will wet the bed, they become rebellious, and their grades go down, their level of concentration goes down. But as the older they become, if you're dealing, some of you are dealing with adolescents, teenagers, those ones, they know how to get rebellious. You call them, they're in their house, they don't answer you. You call them 2 times, 3 times, and you know they're hearing you, but they're not talking to you. Trauma, rebellious. Some of you get involved in dangerous sports, even games. Some of the games you buy them are very dangerous. Oh, I'll give you the phone. You give the baby the phone. Then they know where to go on that phone. Then you keep calling them and they can't. Some of them are committing suicide because they are rebellious right from home. Because they were told not to do this, and then they want to do it. And then they'll go commit suicide. Or they threaten you. Mommy, if Have you ever had a case like that? Mami, if you tell me this again, nitakuacha. Ndio ukae na amani. They know how to say things like that. Children know how to say nitakuacha ndio ukae na amani. That is a threat that they will take their lives. And it is happening. There are even some things online. There are online groups for suicide. Did you know that? Suicide online groups for youths, teenagers. They all come together and they tell each other, we need to kill ourselves. Okay? And they will keep saying that it is time for, this is the time for so-and-so to take their lives. This is their turn. They are doing things like that. And it's happening sometimes as we watch. But this is the most important one. Children will have difficulties trying to develop health relationships. That means when they are young and when they are old. That means they will not have marriages that are healthy. They came from dysfunctional environments, so they are going to get into another dysfunctional environment. That's what they will do. And it's because the family environment is not right. I said yesterday that the best gift, I think 2 days ago, the best gift you could ever give your child is your own personal healing. If you're suffering trauma, depression, anxiety, you have all these kind of bad stuff going on in your mind, look for healing, because your children will really benefit through your own healing. You'll be able to be the parent that you are supposed to be. You'll be able to bring healing for that child. If you don't do that, then they'll be affected now. And listen, as a child keeps growing, their condition keeps changing. Check the children that you have. The problem didn't just, it started with little foolish stuff. Sometimes we ignore them. Then it keeps growing on. As their age grows, the problems become more entrenched and more serious. Talk to the children who are taking a bangi today. Get what was happening to them much earlier. There were serious things that were happening. Sometimes those things are ignored and nobody thinks they are very, very important. Then later, the problems with even the law is running after them and we don't know what we can do. And the kid has gone down the drain. Children who are struggling to manage their grief may be at higher risk of developing mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, or adjustment disorder. This is what I called a few days ago disruptive disorder. It's adjustment disorder. That means they are not able to fit into anything. They just want to stay on their own. They can't even fit into the society. They can't fit within even small communities, even in a church. Bring them. You see, did you see the girls were dancing here and the boys earlier today? The youths. Bring the child. Tell them, look, see what you have. See what your fellows are doing. Go join them up. If you tell them anything like that, they may even run away. Adjustment disorders. They can't be able to fit anywhere in the society. And listen, this is where men, you see men that are broken? Do you see broken men? They started as broken children. And nothing happened as broken children. If we want to have healthy men in our society, healthy men in families, healthy men in churches, healthy men in our working force, healthy men in the society, we have to begin raising strong kids. Strong kids, like what I saw yesterday. That is a good platform to create strong kids. Blessing. I just mentioned about your daughter Blessing. Is Blessing in this house? Is there Blessing here? Okay. Blessing got born again yesterday. And the first thing she did is to go home. What's your name, sir? Charles. That was the first thing he did, is to go home and tell the dad that I got born again. That is the child. What do you think has happened to that child once that kid is in Jesus' hands? They'll grow in the most healthy way. Sometimes, even if they are not born again, just bring them to church. Jesus has a way of fixing them. Don't be like those people, guys who are saying that don't come to him. You bring them over. Even if it is a spouse, they are not born again, bring them over. Let them be born again. And even if they are not born again today or tomorrow, give them time. It will come to happen. And I'm done with that part about children. I'm done. We are also going today I would like you to look at the picture here that I used with the children. And unless there's a question about children, I can answer a question about children. I'm not preaching in a Sunday service. I like you to talk to me. By the way, the trainings I do is what we call participatory learning. Not the normal one, lecture at class. No. This is participatory, is where you talk to me. You have questions, you ask me. Don't go away with the questions. It's allowed. If you have a question about a child, or if you want to write papers, I don't know where is our brother, you can write papers. I can answer the questions on children on your papers. But if you can rise up, take the microphone, and be bold, because we say that fear is one of the most negative emotions people have, fear. But the kids yesterday, there was no fear. Did you see fear here? They are bold as a lion. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs, the righteous are as bold as a lion. That's how your babies look like. If you have a question, you don't even need to write papers. You can just shoot and say, can I ask you a question? This is what I do. Any question on kids, behaviors, difficult behaviors, challenges with kids, and what you can be able to do. Because the problem is you are parenting and nobody trained you on how to parent. You do it the way your mom used to do it. You remember. You know, children become more they grow. So you keep remembering, okay, mom, you talk like this, you talk like the same way. What you forget is these are different times. Those times. You can't do things in the same way. Culture is good, but culture must keep changing. We can't get stuck on old way of doing stuff. We do things in a new way today because kids are also in a new age. So if there is any question, I was supposed to do this with them. I didn't even do this one. But out of all the lessons that I was able to handle with them, we are going to be able to do the rest of them, maybe when there is time again. Are there questions about children from St. Margaret Parish? You know, it will take a long time before you hear a sermon on parenting. It takes time. All sermon on anxiety, sermon on depression. It will take you a long time. But I think we need to begin dealing with the real issues with the people. People don't just want to hear Jesus came from Jerusalem and went to Capernaum. That is okay, but it has its place. We also need to be holistic. Let's look for problems that are. Can we have purpose talk about suicide? You know, we feared the dead in Africa. The dead. When somebody wants to commit suicide, we try to stay away. We keep quiet. We don't do anything about it. Yet it is happening in our society. Now, this is what we call the grief journey. If you can be able to see this, even if it's our media team can be able to focus on it. This is what I refer to as the grief journey. This is what you go through when you're going through grief. And I just watched a video of a kid to Esther explaining this on video. And I was amazed. Esther over there. The video on the daughter who was with us. She's explaining this the way I explained it. He talks about all the behavior issues. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. This is the grief journey. Can you be able to see it? Yeah? You can see it all the way? Okay. Now, what is happening in your life is exactly what I'm going to show you on this picture. Then later, I would like you to look for a place because I would like you to write about your pain. We are going to write 4 things today. Today's are practical. And then we'll be burning those papers out there. So we will need a matchbox and maybe a wheelbarrow like the same I used with the babies. We'll be burning those papers. But listen to this. Every problem happens around here. Every problem happens around here. Even my mom is around here. She can take you through this. She knows it. Eh? Our mom is here. Mom Wanjiro. She knows this. No, I'm Maito. This is where every problem happens. Here, you see this? Then the journey begins. You begin a journey. If you have had 2 deaths in the family, you begin 2 journeys here. If there have been 5 deaths and none of them was dealt with, you start 5 journeys of grief. If you had a death happen in, 1950, it wasn't dealt with, you start that journey. It is still inside. Remember the background I gave you about the brain, the hippocampus, that the greatest neurological impact of trauma is felt where? In the hippocampus. That means hippocampus is the area of the brain that is associated with what we call memory. So it becomes affected. So its structure and functionalities are affected. So it's no longer able to discriminate against time of what happened when. It can't. Because the brain structure is already confused. And that is why 1950 death will affect you in 2022, just like it just happened now. Because the brain cannot connect anything. That is why time is not the best healer. So if there was a death in 1950 of a parent, the journey started and it's just there waiting inside the heart. Some of the kids who talked to us yesterday, they remembered, their memories came back, and they remembered some of the bad things that have happened. And did you know some of them were crying because of grandparents? People you don't even think they would cry about. Your own parents, when they die, they affect your children deeply, maybe more than yourself. So they begin their own journey about that. All right? So this is where it all gets started, every journey, and we call this the grief journey. And this is the road of life. Now, the first village where you come is what we call the village of denial and anger. After this village, you come to another village called village of no hope, village 2. After village 2, you come to the last village, which we call the village of new beginnings. Now, these are the stages of grief. When you go to all the internet stuff where you like Googling, you find a lot of wild stuff that nobody can be able to justify. This is exactly what happens when somebody dies in your family. You start every single one of them. Every journey you start right here. This is why it is crisis. Every problem. Losing jobs, this is why it all started. Terminal diseases in the family, they all started here. There was no cancer in the family. Then cancer has happened. Okay? There was no cardiovascular problems. It has happened. Everything starts right on this crisis. And from there, we start the journey. Journey of grief, pain. And you remember, grief, we said it's what? Do you remember what is grief? Sometimes I told you about a Brazilian coach who took his team at night in the stadium because he wanted to win the World Cup. He took them at night holding the ball, and then he bounced it, and he said, boys, this is a rubber ball. He was that thorough. Because he wanted to win the World Cup, and he did in Brazil. He won the World Cup those early years. Now, I'm saying that about being thorough with something. Sometimes we may think that we know what is grief. If I asked everybody here to tell me what is grief, you begin struggling with it. So we do definitions to understand words, what they mean. What is grief, and how does it affect humans? PTSD. How does PTSD affect your brain? We saw that yesterday. PTSD. How trauma develops into PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and how that can also develop into depression and anxiety, suicide, alcohol, drugs. Now, grief. Grief. What is it? Grief is our response to loss. Simple. Every time you have a loss, whether you lost a hand, you lost your eyes, you lost a loved one, you lost a job, Any kind of loss we go through is associated with grief. Grief is a normal human response to loss. Grief is mourning the loss of something that is very precious to you. And some of the people asked children yesterday, what is precious to you? I wanted to hear it from them. Do you know what the kids told me also? They told me that what is precious to them is church elders. Did you know that? Oh my goodness. Pastors, you're precious to them. Did you know, Reverend Phoebe? If they lose a pastor, it devastates them. Elders. They talked about elders. That means you may think that because elder so-and-so is no longer here, passed on, you may think that child doesn't even care. They care. They may have grief at home because elder has passed on in their church. That's it. That is grief. Grief is mourning. Sometimes we can't tell the difference between grieving and mourning. We think it's one and the same thing. Mourning is a process by which we deal with grief. We mourn. We are dealing with it. That journey we are going through so that we can be able to deal with grief is what we call mourning. And you go through denial and anger. In denial, you don't accept this happened to you. You are like, it hasn't happened. And whether you saw it, even when you saw the dead, you don't believe that the dead is gone. You still think they are somewhere, they will come back. You may even keep seeing them coming at night. And I'm not talking the one from the Western region. You know the one from the Western region where they prepare food for them because they will be coming later. Denial, even inside, you know, it is not dealt with. I'm not talking of the Western one. That is cultural, gone wild. You know, somebody coming from there. Ile mnawapikia chakula. Mnajua hiyo? Mnawapikia wafu chakula. Mnaweka pale kwa kaburi. Ati wakiamka watakula. Inakuliwa na paka, mnakuja kusema ni yeye alikula. Na maji. Weka mpaka maji, container ya maji. Huko. There are cultures we need to stop when we become Christians. We are no longer lawyers. We are no longer Kikuyus. We are no longer Jaluos. When we become born again, we become Christians. There are cultures we stop because they are ungodly. Amen. Is that true? Denial, anger. Why did they leave me? You get angry with the dead. You get angry with the dead person. Why did you leave me? You get angry with God. Where were you when this happened? That's why we say that trauma causes a crisis of faith. You no longer believe in God because God is a problem also. Your faith is affected by trauma. Trauma affects your faith and your belief in God. Anger. You get angry with the hospital where they were. Oh, that doctor. You get angry with your family members. Why did you take them to Aga Khan? Why didn't you take them to this one and that one? And did you know it is happening with the children? That's what the children told me. That they normally feel like, and this is true, I know, they normally feel like they are directly responsible for the death of that person. That's how children feel. If it is the grandpa who died, they are like, I am responsible for that death. And it begins to affect them. They begin to grieve. They say, it is me who didn't watch over them. I didn't have time for them. I went to play outside and I left my grandpa in the house. That's when they began to die. They have wild, some, look, the reasons for trauma, and especially when it comes to grief, doesn't have to be reasonable. You may think like, it's so foolish to think that way. Yes, it may be, but the fact of the matter is, it's affecting them. And my goal is to heal. It doesn't matter. My goal is just to heal. Whether people are grieving in the good way or for good reasons or not, It's my work to heal their lives. And I told you there's one tool we use called CBT, about shifting mindsets, about grief, shifting mindset, belief systems. Because people hurt because of the way they believe. When they believe things are this way, ati huyu alikufa maana alikuwa neglected by the others. Wewe ulikuwa ng'ambo, wengine walikuwa hapa, mama akakufa. When you show up, the rest of the family members did what? Neglected your loved one. So it hurts you most. That means anger, this grief has anger within it. Ile inaitangwa makasiriko. Mtu amekasirika, and it is because they think things were not done in the right way. So they get angry with everybody and they hate everything. They may even hate the casket. Why did you buy this kind of a casket? Why didn't you buy a proper casket for my loved one? Why didn't you bring pikipiki? Zile za Kibaki. Unakumbuka hiyo pikipiki? Ile ilikuwa in Outriders ya kuelekeza mwili kule. There are people who want, for the first time, they want pikipiki iletwe kwa mazishi. These are real things. Real things, cases that I know. Ati bona pikipiki za polisi hazikulipwa zikuje zi accompany mwili kwa mazishi. And they get wild about it. And we have to sit with them. You know, sometimes it looks like madness, but that's why we are there, to handle the madness. We need to help them know that they never needed to do things like piki. Oh, was there no money? I had all the money I needed to pay for the piki ziletwe ziwe outriders za kuzindikisha mwili. And it is because in Africa, culture tells us that we fear the dead. Because when they are sick and they are dying of hunger, we don't even send them even 100 shillings. Wait until they die. Oh, I'm the one buying the casket. Oh, I'm the one paying for the outriders to zidikisha the mwili. What if you gave them that money when they were alive? Maybe they would have been able to find their healing. Forget about the good casket now. My grandfather used to say that they used to throw them for hyenas, to leave it for hyenas to eat. But today, because we fear the dead, and we think that, it's a fear based on culture, that if you don't treat them well, when they die, they'll come back. They'll come back to harass you. That's what people think. Can I tell you something? And this is biblical. There's a spirit we call the spirit of pneumocracy, where the living try to connect with the dead. There is absolutely no connection between the living and the dead. If you keep seeing your loved one and they died long time, you are shosho. Ati my shosho alikuwa amekuja last night. Sio shosho yako alikuja. You are traumatized. You need help. You need to see a doctor. Shosho went na alienda akiendanga. Mnasikia ile wanasema alienda akiendanga. Vile uliona mumemweka kwa mchanga na mumemrudisha, alienda. Hata hii ya our former president. But people have expressed a lot of fondness. Hiyo mnatoa kule mnaleta hapa leo, inakaa hapo, inarudisha kule, kesho leta tena. It's okay. It's a mourning, a nation in mourning. It helps people come to terms with it and have a closure that the dead is gone. Because the difficult part sometimes is when the dead is not there. You begin to mourn twice. The loss and the missing body. Kenyans need to come and say, oh, okay, kumbe alienda. That's what they do when they come before that body. Kumbe ni kweli. It helps them have an internal closure. All right? That's why it is important to do that. Even young children, I've been asked this question, not here, in another place. Can the children be allowed to go and see the dead body? Yes, they can. If you don't, they will live with the denial all their lives. They never saw the body. Let them look at their father lying there, lifeless, and let them take time. Let them look at him, let him take time, and then when they are now satisfied, you will know they are satisfied. Don't be in a hurry. And let me tell you also something, that the wrong thing that the church is doing. Let the churches not hijack funerals. I don't come here from here so I can say it, okay? But even in our church, I say it. Because we have a free church, okay? Churches hijack funerals. That is the day when you want to raise money. I have no idea how it is done here. And P.C.E.A is one of my best churches. Even my church knows I'm here. They know I'm here. Because I love this church. That's why I come. There are many places I'm invited, I don't go. I don't go. But I love this church. I love this church, P.C.E.A, and I'm going to so many P.C.E.A churches. Many of them. Even dinner, recently, February, I was speaking in another church. P.C.E.A dinner for couples. I do a lot of work with them. But let me tell you, when there's a funeral, don't hijack the funeral. Let the families own the process. It will help them heal. Fundraising sio siku hiyo. Moja mfanye mtatafuta siku nyingine ya fundraising. This is the day for that family. Allow them the front seats very nicely. Let them sit there. Then give them time to come forward and read tributes. Even if they don't have tributes, let them come and do whatever they want to do. When you allow them to do that, their hearts are healing. When you hijack, we have a building project for buying the helicopter for the church, and we are trying to prepare the helipad on the roof. And you know what you are doing? You are traumatizing the bereaved family. Shut up. Stop it. Let the family mourn in peace. Even politics, don't bring people who give politics during the funeral service. For me, I normally say it is indiscipline of highest order. Like what is happening in politics. By the way, politics is so bad. Politicians come into a funeral, and they come for show up. They bring all their helicopters all over the place. They come, they sit in the front, and nataka tupewe mahali tuongee. Nataka nimujibu fulani. Alinitukana. Enda ukajibu huko Kizingo na Kongowea. Today I met the chairman of Kongowea. I don't know. And I was told Kongowea is next to Nyali. My friend, Dr. You missed today. Did you watch it? You must have missed a lot. Waenda kuna soko ya Kongowea. Enda ukamjibu kule, si kwa mazishi ya a family that is in mourning, and we come and we hijack. Elder, is that okay? Is that okay? Can we get some hygiene in the way we do stuff? Some hygiene in our actions. That is the day for that family to come. And this is wonderful. Having a fellowship like this one, where people can come, family members can come, the parents can come, and they can talk about how they feel about what happened. There are 3 questions we ask when people are traumatized. 3 questions. Number 1, what happened? Number 2, how did this make you feel? And number 3, what was the hardest part for you? Those are the 3 questions we use. And I tell trauma healers, use these questions, even counselors. When somebody comes, let them use, that's the model you use. Now, without asking them those questions, when we have a memorial service, people come here and they answer those 3 questions without being asked. That's why it is okay for them to come and stand here. Even if they cry, let there be somebody behind them to hold on them. But let them cry. Let them go to the morgue and see the dead. Let there be people holding on them. Because if they don't have a closure with the dead, you know what will happen. Banjiro, that is true, right? That is true. That is very, very true. They must have a closure with their dead. If they don't, they will have what we call complicated grief all the way until they are 80, until they are 102. And they are still grieving something that happened many, many years ago. Let's allow them. I don't know whether we do memorial services in church in P.C.E.A. Are there memorial services? Okay, do we bring the body in church or the body remains in the morgue? I don't know what happens. What is important is people come together and stay together with that family that is bereaved. Stay together with them. Let them express. Don't be in a hurry. In my father's funeral, in one of the Anglican church, they came and they hijacked everything. And, they took when we were going home, I was told that, all the pastors don't have a car. Give them your car. They need to use it. So I gave out the car. The good thing is my car was carrying my babies, my family. So I was riding with a casket. So I was told they need a car. I said, okay, they can have the car. But then they went ahead. I needed to make sure, from the church to our home is about a kilometer. Can I tell you, by the time we got home, they were putting the body down. So you come home and these guys have finished the business. And they are like, we need to go busy. Tunaenda mahali pengine. Oh, you're busy, you want to go somewhere else? And there's a family in the morning? Can't you even give us time to allow our father to go in peace? And it affected all of us in the family, myself, my sister, my brothers, all of us were affected. And we said, it's okay. I told them, it's okay, let's allow it to be that way. Because there's nothing we can do. We didn't know they would do that. Hijack. Churches hijack funerals. I'm done with that part. Yes, Doctor.
Mother dies.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mortuary, she looks terrible.
Terrible.
Because I see them.
Okay.
Now, which is better for the children to see?
Mm-hmm.
A cute picture of their mother,
Mm-hmm.
and you greet that,
Mm-hmm.
or that dead person?
Mm-hmm.
Because I always feel that you said they must see this book.
Mm-hmm.
Must stay here and see. Because that remains in them for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Dr. is asking a question about whether the children can see just a picture, the picture of the dead. Then they don't see the body. They just see the picture. Now, the challenge of just seeing the picture, and there's something else he has said, which I think maybe is the background for this question. An elderly person has died and they are looking bad. I think at that time we need to make a decision whether they need to go see and remain, because that is the picture they will remain with. If the picture is not a good one, it's okay not to do that. Let's then remain with the picture. That this is, even in funeral services, instead of bringing the casket in the church, sometimes we already have the picture. That happens sometimes. Sometimes they wheel in the casket into the church. Both of them happen. If the picture that they are going to remain with is going to be a bad one, because that can also cause trauma, it's very, very true. If the picture is not a good one, it's okay. Let's just have the portrait of the dead. That is okay. I think at that time we can make decisions. But in a situation where we have older children who really want to go and see their loved one, they are older, they are good age, it's okay for them to do that if the picture is okay. If the picture is okay. All right? So from there we come to hopelessness. In hopelessness, how we feel is, how is it going to be without this loved one? This is another stage. And people remain in this stage for between 6 and 15 months. Here they stay for about a month. Here. This is 1 month, the first stage. Here is 6 to 15 months. They are struggling with it. What I would like to say about this journey at this point of hopelessness is that death is cruel. Death is very cruel. Death has a tinge of finality in it. Death is unquestionable. Death is indiscriminate. When it happens, it has happened. That's how bad the death is. That's why it is so painful. And there are people who will remain here for 15 months, but we will still have people who will still be there for 2 years. There are people who remain there for 3 years. That means they haven't even begun to come, because this is the final place where we come, what we call the new beginning. The new beginning. But then, this is the arrows that Esther's baby was explaining, that the arrows coming back. I think you can see those arrows coming back. Can you see them? The arrows coming back from village 3, coming to village 1. We have arrows coming from village, new beginnings, coming back to hopelessness. There are arrows coming back from hopelessness to village 1, and even all the way to crisis. It means it's not a straight journey. People will move forward and still come backwards. they may begin to feel like they are coming to a closure because they might be here maybe year 2.5, maybe year 4, maybe year 10. So that might happen, and it might keep happening for a period of time. But sometimes they will think they got here and they will come all the way back to crisis in terms of how they are feeling. This is where they began, and they began with denial. Denial sometimes is positive because it takes away the initial shock. Takes away the initial shock. When you're in denial, you will not be able to. Denial, look at me. Denial is like ukiweka mkono ndani ya fridge ama deep freezer. Have you ever tried? Maybe you need to go practice today. Go try and put your hand inside the deep freezer. See how long it will stay there. Can it stay there? And there's no fire in it. Now, that's how denial looks like. Denial is like numbness, kuganda. That means roho imeganda. Haielewi what is going on. That's why it is in denial. And the advantage of that is, for a little while, it helps you to absorb the information of the death of a loved one. But again, it should always be there for a short period of time. It should begin to go down. Because if we are in denial for long periods of time, then we can say this person is not grieving well. Remember one of our learning objectives? When we started this, we said we need to help people to grieve well. That is very, very important. Finally, if they have been able to have help here and a closure over here, they will be able to move on to what we call the new beginning. New beginning is where this person is now ready to face life without this loved one. It takes a long time over here. For you to be able to know that one has not been able to have a closure, they will still keep the clothes of the dead intact. Their room is well done. Their shoes polished. If it's a baby, their toys are still there. Their baby clothes are still there. Anything continued as usual. That tells you that they are not ready for a new beginning. But we need to help people move away from the stages where they stay for too long. Because when people overstay on the stages of their grief journey, it is not good for them. There's something we call psychopathological problems. People begin to go to serious problems. If grief has happened and maybe over another 5 years, 10 years, you are still in stage 1, you are still in stage 2, and time has gone, then we can say you are not healing well. There's a problem somewhere. And I know many people don't look for a therapist for their grief, but I want to tell you this. It is important to look for someone who can work together with you. Somebody who understands how to deal with the grief and loss, because that is what is going to happen to you and for a long period of time. Some people will just survive on their own. They say, I'm okay. You know, others will take, wacha tukunywe taska mbili, tusikie kama tutatuzoea. Si ndio? Taska ngapi? Every day, nakuwa kama medicine. 2 times 1. 2 times 1. Every single day. Now, you are messing yourself up. It's like sleeping pills. You are given sleeping pills for you to be able to sleep. It should be a stopgap. Every client of mine, I have to get them out of sleeping pills within a period of time. Because by the time I am dealing with them, we need to begin to withdraw from drugs so that the body can begin to get accustomed to normal functions, the natural functions as it was intended. If you are here and all you do is take sleeping pills, then it was not supposed to be taken for all your life. I know people who have taken drugs for many, many, many years. It's important for us to get to a point where, as you take the drugs, we are also dealing with the problem. I have so many referrals from the hospitals in Nairobi. When somebody is taking drugs, antidepressants, then they are sent to me. I help them heal. And when they are healed, they begin to realize they actually don't need the drugs anymore. But there are people who want to live on drugs daily. That is the same thing as taskambili. And they tell you mbili kama kawaida. Have you heard about that one? That means the sickness. When they tell you mbili kama kawaida, kuna sickness ndani. and you treat it. By the way, we call that self-treatment. When somebody has to keep taking alcohol, they have a problem, mujiristi. If they're taking alcohol throughout, and you can't eat, even in the bottles are there in the house, in the cabinet. That is alcoholism. That is abusing. You're like somebody who is abusing bangi or heroin or anything. People abuse normal things in life that make them feel good. Maybe I need to talk about addictions one of the days. So this is what it is. Are there questions about the grief journey? I need to close that one because I said I'm doing a few things quickly because we need to close down. Is there anything about grief journey? Yes, Mommy. It's okay. It's okay. We should never force, just like what Dr. was asking. We should never force anybody to do what they don't want to do. We should always check with the people. Is it, or do you want to? Do you want to go view the body? There are people who want to remain with a picture that they knew about that person, which is not the picture of when they are dead, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. Let them remain with that good picture. It's okay. But there are people who may say that mimi mpaka nione mwili ndio niamini. Have you heard of people like that? Yeah, mimi nataka tu nione tu mwili. Hata kama helicopter ile ilianguka huko Naivasha. The family members keep sitting on the show, waiting for the bodies to be brought, and there's nobody found. You know, they will never have a closure because for them, they have to see. But there are people who are okay, who you say, I'm all right. I don't need to, if they have a portrait, like the way Dr. said, they are okay with that. That is okay, let them be. We should always check with the people when they are grieved. What is it you want? Let's do what they want. If they want to deal with, to see, you know, none of us is like another. We are all different, right? Yeah, we all have different feelings, emotions. There are people who will feel, I just have to go and see for me to be able to have a closure. It's okay for them to do that. Another question? Yes. Oh, you have another one? Trauma or mental? Trauma is mental. Yes. Okay. If this child was not wetting the bed, it's a normal thing for a child to wet the bed. It's normal. There are children who don't even wet the bed. But if a child was not wetting the bed before, then they started wetting the bed, don't beat them. That's what I was saying. Find out what happened. Something happened over here. They are traumatized by something. That's why they just keep. Even adults, the adults who have what we call incontinence. You know incontinence? Yeah? Trauma brings incontinence even in adults. Mnajua incontinence? Ile hamwezi kushikilia mkojo, ndio tunaita incontinence kwa hizi lugha zetu. Ati mkojo inatokanga tu. By the way, when you get healed from trauma, mkojo inaanza kutoka namna hiyo. Si ni kweli? Yeah. And it's good to ask the other person to always check whether you are okay. If you're washing his boxers, check whether they have drops of mkojo. Mamas, check whether there are drops of mkojo. If there are drops of mkojo, then Daktari. Are there other questions? Any other? Daktari, you had a question. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. Mm-hmm.
After how long will you commit somebody who has been into the married?
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Okay, did you hear the question? No? All right. Dr. says I need to write a paper, especially for pastors. And of course, I understand, you know, because of the things we are discussing. But the second question is what I would really like you to hear even more. How long should somebody remarry after the loved one has Maybe it's a divorce and separation. Maybe it's death of a spouse. How long? And then he checked that side. Did you see the way he checked that side? You know, you know the reason why. The reason why I laugh, Dr. Michel, is because he's just open. He doesn't have corners. He just brings what is inside. All right? Now, let me answer that question and say this. There is no one size that fits all. We don't have like a blanket. Now, the challenge always is, and I want to bring you to that over here. Can you see the first bridge? If you can project this for me once again. Can you see what we are calling the first bridge? Can you see that? The first bridge is when you purport to come from crisis and start life again. And it's good that Dr. has asked that question because maybe I was going maybe to forget this one. First bridge, it's a lie. You can't be able to circumvent the process. You have to go through the processes all the way to here. That's how we say you are healing well. But there are people here in some communities, again, this other side, where they, by the time they finish budding, within 2 weeks, a girl has been in blood. That's the question Dr. is asking. The girl has been, ati tuliona hatutaki ukae peke yako, huyu ni mke wako kutoka leo. Unasema amen. Na wewe ni Mkristo wa St. Margaret. Ama Mkristo wa Marindi P.C.E.A. Go tell them, Wanjiru, right? Go tell them. They are not ready because they are mourning. They are not ready. Don't circumvent the process. They have to go through the villages. 1 month, 16 months, maybe 3 months, 3 years. Actually, maybe 3 years, Dr. is when somebody may begin to feel they are now ready. But again, there's somebody who will feel they are still not ready. I met somebody in one of meetings like this one, and they told me that until they were 4 years after the death of the loved one, they were not ready to marry. 4 years. And it was a pastor. 4 years. It all depends on an individual. You know why? Because we don't mourn in the same way for the loved ones. All of us mourn differently. Even in one family, you have lost a loved one in that same family. You find that there's one of you who is, they are just okay within no time. There's another one who is emotionally moved. 2, 3 years, they are still stuck with it. And that's why we need to make interventions for them. So there are people who are ready, Daktari, like if somebody is marrying, let me put it this way categorically. If somebody is marrying before 2 years, for me, they are getting into problems. For me, 2 years before you can remarry. That's what I advise. 2 years. When 2 years are done, I know you are ready. Because time is important. And also you need to go through counseling. Go through counseling. It's very, very important to prepare you for the new journey. But 2 years are very, very important. Some people will wait for 3 years. Like the pastor, I'm saying it was 4 years. But hii ya mwezi mmoja and the elders wamekuja, ati tumeona hatutaki mtoto yetu unakaa peke yake, tumeletea yeye msichana. Who told you they want to marry? Or like what they did in Gidae's kid's funeral. Mtoto mkubwa amekufa 17 years of age. Wanaambia wazazi during the funeral. And these are politicians, again, the ones you like bringing to the church. Wanatea aibu during the funeral. Wanaleta aibu. And they are saying, ati wewe Gidae na bibi yako bado mngali wachanga sana. Rudi kwa kitanda mzae ingine. Aibu, kuna mtu amewahi kuongea aibu ikatoka huko ikakuja kwa wewe. Ukasikia aibu uingie chini ya kiti. When people talk and they are talking without blinking their eyelids. Let me tell you, even if they get another baby, it will never replace the baby that has gone. That was a baby, that was a child, that's a human being. We are not talking of replacing cabbages. Ati mboga yangu imepotea tu ununua ingine hapo kwa Naivas. No. It's a life. It's a life. And don't give these people possessions when they come to talk. You know, all our politician wants is a microphone. then they can pour out the vitro. Don't allow them the microphone. Don't. By the way, in our church, no politics. When they come, they sit there, they may be acknowledged. Oh, thank you for coming to worship with us. But microphone, no. To do what? They would have to be invited to speak in case it was important for him to do that. So we need to protect the pulpits. That's what I'm saying. Protect the altars. Yeah, because this altar can destroy and this altar can build. We use this one for building lives, not for pouring out vitriol and hatred. So this false bridge is when we try to start life without going through the processes. And this is helping you know if you've been through grief, did you go through the process in the way it should, or did something happen and then it was not possible for you to be able to go through the process? Any other question? I think there was a question, yes? Thank you.
What you said about the church, what something happens so that we can learn and also we can adjust. My children kept asking me, why did the church cover the coffin very early? Even they didn't see it very well, because when you went to the viewing, it was open.
When you went to?
To the mortuary. It's open, so you don't see the coffin. And they wanted to, some of them never went to buy the coffin, so they never saw it. So in the mortuary, everybody is emotional. And then to the burial at our home, the coffin is taken and covered with a cloth. Then they kept asking. They didn't see
their father.
the coffin.
The coffin.
Of the father. And they are the ones who specified how it is going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did they see the body? Or the coffin?
In the mortuary.
Yes.
They viewed it.
Okay.
But you see it's open. The coffin is open. But when it's closed, they want to see it now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It was covered all through.
Okay, so anyway, that's okay. Now, listen. We should be, every time there's a funeral, this is a family affair. It's a family. Let the leadership of these people, sometimes when people are traumatized by grief, they don't even know how to make decisions. That is why church leadership should be there to take charge of things, how things will be done. Don't allow people who don't understand what is happening to come and take charge, because they will traumatize the family. We need church leadership. Yeah, we need to appoint someone to be able to handle the family from now all the way to the end of the process. That is very, very important. Because sometimes this death has happened. We want the family to have what I was calling earlier, a closure with the dead, the loved one who has gone. Remember, you are calling, even the way we call it, it's also not good. I hear people calling the person who has gone. They are calling them the body in the church. I mean, this is the body. The body is here. Do you know, for them it's not a body? Do you know, for them it's their father, and you are calling it the body. You are so mechanical about it. So mechanical. You are so unfeeling. And that's a narcissistic behavior, where anybody can be narcissistic, by the way. We can be so unfeeling that we mishandle people's funeral, and you leave them with trauma even after the funeral is over. We need to be very, very careful. So what I'm saying is, maybe your children, they came to tell you that later. They told you that later. Oh, in the photos. Yes. Yes. It wasn't. Yes. 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 Yeah, that is true. That is true. So I think there was no one to correct that. It should have been corrected there and there, because we always must do what is the wish of the family. Yeah. Let's listen to the family members. Let's ask them, what would you want us to do? Let's even prompt them. Would you want to do this? Would you want to do this? These are the things you can be able to do. Find out what it is that works for them, because we want them to have a closure with the dead, their loved one. So that is a good question. Okay, listen. There's something I needed to say about denial in respect to your question. When you have been with your loved one during their sickness and disease, and then they pass on, it's not as somebody who just died in an accident and information was given to you. These are two different deaths. And what I would like to say is, there are times, this is something I needed to do with children. There's something I call trauma of the loss. And while we call this trauma, because there's a picture here I would like you to look at. Now, this is grief. The people can be able to project this for you to see. And this is trauma. Can you see this grief, the smaller circle, and then trauma, the bigger circle? Now, all this is trauma, the way it looks. All this. And in trauma, we said there are three things. We said, one, you can't remember, intense fear is there. The other thing we said is what? Hopelessness. There's hopelessness. If I was giving you an exam, you would have failed. When I'm training, I give exams, but this is not a training. This is trauma healing. This is a seminar. But these are questions that people answer when I have a test for both adult equipping, for children, like the one we talked to some of you yesterday morning, and I have another one, advanced training. And I do them under American Bible Society, ABS, because I'm a master facilitator with American Bible Society. So there is intense fear, then there is hopelessness, and the third one is horror. These are the three things that are happening to you when you have trauma. But there is the smaller circle inside means this is painful. This is a painful experience that somebody is going through. This grief over here. Now, people can experience grief without trauma. Okay? And this is in a case like what you're explaining. If you are with someone for a long period of time, you are with them, they became sick, maybe 1 year, 2 years, then they are gone. You may not actually go through denial, because for you, it is something you are prepared was going to happen. Like if your grandmother, my grandmother died at 100 and something. We were all ready. And she kept telling me that if you don't find me, I have Jesus, I have gone home. And I would tell her, no, I will find you here. So I would come back and find her. So finally I was called and I was told that Shusho has gone. So in the field, I think that is what we call celebrating a life well spent, because she was gone at around 105. Now, in the funeral, we were just happy. Of course, we miss her, we feel bad about her leaving, but do we have trauma? Are we grieving in a way we have trauma? No. I think that is like a better death. Somebody is prepared. And she didn't go to the hospital. She just slept, and in the morning, and there are those people who just go slowly. That's what we call passing on. Have you heard of passing on? There are people who don't die, but they pass on. They just went to the other life. Now, you understand? So when the case is like that, there may not be that shock, because I don't think you had shock. Yeah, if there's no shock, grief shock, then there might not be denial. That region is very quiet, no questions from Lois, no questions that side. From Elder Jenga, Chairman. Are we good? Is everything okay? All right, that is okay. Now, I would like us to take some pieces of paper. I hope I didn't shut anybody out on the areas of questions. I would like us to take some papers. Yes? There was still one question, maybe final one.
When you visit a person who has lost either husband, and then he or she tells you that we know my husband is just sleeping, one day we'll come back. Well, what is that?
Denial. Straight up. I think some of you know these things now. That's what people believe, that they haven't gone anywhere, they are coming home. They keep waiting for them to come home. Yes. In Okay. 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 Ask again. People may hear what you're saying. Other people benefit us.
Can the whole cycle be in some kind of a loop that after some time a person has already recovered, then after going through his or her daily life, and a trigger, something triggers the crisis back?
Okay. Did you hear what he's asking? Anxiety is triggered by many things. Anxiety is triggered by many things. And as when it comes to grief, if somebody has not healed well, they'll have triggers. And it is sometimes it's normal up to some certain level. People will see something, like if you lost your loved one recently, what will happen is you don't feel like you want to go to another funeral quickly. Hutaki kwenda mazishi ingine because you don't want to see the coffin again because it reminds you of your loved one. That's what happens. But that is in recent times. But when you are healed, if you've been able to go through the process of healing and you have healed well, that's why I said yesterday in our learning objectives, people should be able to heal well. If you have been able to heal well, then what will happen is triggers are no longer part of your journey. Okay? I was looking for that picture again. If you've been able to heal well and you came beyond, maybe I need to get that picture. Mujiristi, where are my pictures? Yeah, found it. If you've been able to come to this level of new beginning and you are no longer going back to the villages or the other villages, you've been able to move on from here. Sometimes we do assessments for clients or patients to know whether have they healed well and are they ready now to move on again. So it's a whole thing that is dependent on the healing process. And everybody, I said earlier, will walk their own healing journey. Okay? Okay, brother. Are you even with me? Yes, the elder.
My question is this, during the maybe burial ceremony, it is over or it is ongoing. You are not the one who has lost a loved one, but the moment your eyes come to contact the person who lost the dear one, you shed tears immediately. And then sometimes you try to go away in an enclosure to go and cry. Yet it's not you that have been affected, but you are there together with them. What do you call this?
We call that secondary trauma. Secondary trauma. We say there are two ways trauma happens to you. Direct experience, both as a perpetrator and as a victim. That is direct. But there is what we call secondary trauma that happens to you when you experience something not one-on-one directly, but it is happening through seeing, like what you said is just you saw somebody, they are in grief, then their grief leaves them, and all the same grief rubs on. Actually, in our language, you say rubbing on. It rubs on you. That happens, and it happens with us also. As we treat people, their grief may come on us. So we have to figure out how to deal with it. So that is what it is. We call that secondary trauma. Okay. All right. I think that is good. What we are going to do with those papers is that I would like you to write your grief story. And write it, maybe we need to be able to burn those papers. But I wonder if there's something, not everybody needs to write. If you have never done a closure with something, or maybe from what I'm saying, you can see that you are not closed yet. It's okay to keep doing it. Something like one-off. Remember, we have said that people can keep going back to the villages. Sometimes we think that, oh, we are okay. Then one day, boom, we are hit. You attend another funeral. I have one of my clients who I didn't say they can go for a funeral, but they thought they should go for a funeral. And they went for a funeral. And they came back sick, like they had gone back to the beginning. And they were calling me, what do? I haven't left the house for 2 days. I can't even go to work, Because they went for a funeral. It was too early for them to do what they were doing. So maybe sometimes you may feel like everything is okay, but later you realize that I think I'm still hit by this. It's all right, it's part of the journey. What this bridge means is that it is never a straight. It's not like driving on Kenyatta Avenue, Mombasa, and joining the highway to Nairobi. No, it is like going around in circles sometimes, just like around the same place. So if you have a loved one, and I know most of you have, maybe it is not even your loved one. Maybe it's like the way children are telling me about the church elder, that it affects them. I don't know, the teacher, is their teacher who affected them. And your children were so expressive, highly expressive. I was wishing I had maybe another one day with them. They were highly, highly expressive. And I don't think they're exhausted. You see, like the way I'm saying any other question, no hand, them they would be just like this. And I don't even know which question. I need more time with the children, especially when the schools are closed. They are laden with stuff, if you understand what I'm saying. They are laden with stuff. Okay? But the adults, it doesn't mean they are not laden with the stuff. Sometimes we just shy off. That is why I want you to write it down. Writing is like talking. Yes? Yes.
A loved one to either to or father to the children.
How do you do it?
Breaking the news, like the father has done. How do I tell my children?
Okay.
Sometimes it is very difficult to break the news, to tell them their dad or their grandfather has passed on.
All right. Some of the things I need to share with you here, and I didn't have time, is about how to break news to children, how to tell them that their father is gone. I'm saying father because sometimes fathers leave earlier, sometimes mom will leave earlier. We need to give, every time we deal with a child, we have to be cognizant about their own age. What is their age? In parenting, there is an age, how to give them information, depending on the age at which they are. You don't deal with age 5 like an age 10. You don't do that. We need to figure out how do we deal with a child who is at this age. The reason is because there are children who don't even know what death is. You tell them that so-and-so died, they are looking at you, they are wondering, what do you mean they died? They don't know what it is. So you need to begin to explain to them what is death. One of the recent cases is where a child was taken to see the father. That's when they understood, oh, okay, this is what they call death, And then the child was asking, are we going to have people with guns, to come and protect the father, or are we leaving him alone like that? Because for him, maybe the father is still alive, but just lying there. So later, they will come to terms with understanding about what happened. The other thing I would like to say is that we do it in a process. We don't bombard them with information. You know, it's okay to start from somewhere and bring it slowly. If you feel like they're understanding and they are receptive, you are sensitive about how they are assimilating the information. A time comes and you know that, okay, I can now finish up the story because they are getting it. They understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is the way you do it. Yes, over there.
I was just wondering, how do we help women who have lost their husbands so that they can be able to move on and even remarry? You know, the society is very unfair to women. And this is also when it comes to divorce.
That is
I
a-
find it is a challenge, especially in
In
our
the church.
African setup.
Even in the church and in the families, especially in Kikuyu land. In Kikuyu land, okay? Where I come from the mountain. Now, that's a very good question. I can answer it in two ways, biblically. Biblically, what does the Bible say about young widows? Reverend Phoebe? They should remarry. Sometimes, you know, these rings, we want them to keep the rings of the dead here. And even when they say, I am Mary Mudhoni, married by Maina. Mary Mudhoni Maina. That's how they introduce themselves. Jitaka Mary Mudhoni wa Maina Mutigaire. That is in Kikuyu. How do you do it in your language? How do you do it in your language? That's how they do it in church. Because they have been told, you can't do what? Your husband yako ako kwa shimo na huyo ndio bwana yako. They are told that in Kikuyu land, you don't remarry. Who are you going to leave the boma with? I don't know that is in other communities, Dr. Yeah. Ati hii boma inaachiwa nani? Kwa hivyo kama somebody has been left at age, maybe it is a young couple, yeah, maybe they are in their 30s, maybe they are in their 40s. The Bible says, that's the first one for me, let the younger widows marry other than burning with the passion. They have bodies. Don't they have bodies? Eh? Are they not burning? They are. So what can they do? Let them marry. And Paul brings that out as a false teaching because there are people who refuse other people to remarry. He rebuked that. That is Paul. And himself, he was not even married. He wasn't married. But he would say that there are people who are preaching the wrong doctrine by refusing other people to marry. So I would like to say here today, if you have been left by a husband and you want to remarry, the Bible has allowed you to do that. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, culture. Let's go to culture. Sometimes I have problem with the culture. The first way I think is a Christian. Then I come to the culture. Culture will tell you, like what I'm saying, you can't remarry, your husband is still the same one. So you have to keep using Mary Muloni wa Maina. All right? Now, this Maina is gone, okay? Everybody saw him being lowered in a casket. They saw it. But they still wanted to be called Mary Muloni wa Maina. They wanted to be called like that. Now, I would like to say, in areas where culture is trying to impose itself on real cases, the Bible has the preeminence over that. So people should be able to use the biblical teaching, and we should allow and support them to remarry. We should be able to do that. Oh, property, nani atabaki na hii shamba? Kulikuwa na ng'ombe nyumbani, kulikuwa na nguruwe, hata kuna paka, paka waine na wamezaa kittens. Nani atabaki na hizo kittens? Now, let me ask you, who is greater, you or the kittens? Who is greater than the other? Ni paka na punda, or is your happiness? Because mali utafutwa. Those children, because the problem with Kikuyu land, and most of you come from there, is inheritance. Ati shamba itaachiwa nani? Let me tell you, kama kuna watoto wa hiyo boma, hiyo shamba ya baba yao ni shamba yao. Okay? But we shouldn't tie down also the mother. If the mother feels like, me, I want to go and marry, yeah, and take care of my babies at the same time, and they still have an inheritance in their father's shamba, it's still okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So those papers, let's write them. I need to close this. What was this letter all about? There's a letter. What is it? Are we okay? Oh. The final day. Reverend Phoebe, the final day. Can we add one more day tomorrow? Tomorrow morning, my ticket.
You have mentioned about the young ones to get married. What about us who are old?
Ah! Help me, Jesus. Wow. Okay. Hey, that's a real question. Okay. Okay. Let me correct that and say not just the younger ones. It is Paul. Paul was not married. That's why we say the younger ones who should remarry. But I'm saying all those who want to remarry and they are single, old or young, let them remarry. Is that okay? Elder Karaoke, have I sorted it out? Is it sorted out? Thank you. Let them remarry. I told you yesterday about a 60-year-old who I hosted here. And her husband had died 60 years. And she told me that I am 60 years young. And then she wrote to me that I am looking. No, when she came here, she talked about it now, after she sent me her resume, because that's what they say. Traveling other countries, people want fast to see most of these things. So then when she came and she was speaking in our meeting, she said that I am trusting God for a husband. And she was so convinced. 60 years. 60 years. I don't know how many old you are. You can get a husband. I'm seeing even a young man falling in love with the older women. Have you seen that? Do you want to stop them? And they say this is, you know what, they call it Gederemende. And this is my Gederemende. And that time is an older lady, they are calling Gederemende. Gederemende is a sweet. Those who don't know the Greek language, you know, let them get married, it's okay. All right? Reverend Phoebe?
It's just to add on what you said.
Okay, please.
But in case they don't want to get married, the Bible says those who are elderly, the elder widows, they should be taken care of in the church.
Yes.
The church should take care of them.
Yes.
And also they have ministry to the young ones.
Yes. That is what the Bible says. Yeah, that's what the Bible says. That is Paul. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Let's go to writing papers before I get myself into trouble. Let's write papers before I get myself into trouble. If there is a case even of a loved one within another family, like what Elder Jenga said, it affected you, write about it. It will help you have a closure, okay? Write about it. Let's write about everyone. I know someone who passed on a long time ago, maybe several years now, you thought you had a closure, but as I'm explaining these things, you feel like, okay, I am back where I started. All have moved on and come back a few times. Go ahead and still write. Okay? Can we do that now? Can we do that now? Okay. Go ahead and write. Sometimes you want to write about even other things, not just the loss. Sometimes you may have other causes of trauma that happen to you. We don't know what it is. Maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's a separation. Maybe it's property. Maybe it's job issues. Let's write about it. Sometimes it is losing a baby. Losing a baby is very painful. Losing a baby, very, very painful. We need to write about that. a baby that was lost, maybe not even your own, maybe a sibling. It was a young baby for your parents and it was lost. That is painful. And it hasn't gone anywhere. It is still with you. You need to write about it. Losing a baby is very, very painful. Sometimes it's losing a grandparent that affected you. Sometimes grandparents are just like our own parents. They love us so much. You know, they sacrifice for us. When we lose them, they hurt us deeply. Please write about it. Please write about it. Painful things that may have happened to you. There are also other painful things that may have happened to you. If you need more papers, I don't know where that elder is. I don't know if it's an elder or it's a deacon. If an usher, whoever was having those papers, if somebody needs more papers, because I know what we have were for questions, you can pass them over another piece of paper for them to keep writing. But don't leave anything unwritten. Ensure you have written. Even if you have written before, you may have written before with us, maybe in past trainings and seminars and all that, and you feel like I need to write this again, please go ahead and write. Please go ahead and write. Okay? Okay? The other thing I would like you to still write is, are there painful things that were done against you? Painful things that were done against you. And I want to mark what I'm saying on this flip chart. Are there painful things that were done against you that still make you feel pain? So write about grief. Write about painful things. Done against you or done to you. Write about that. The other thing I would like you to write about are nightmares. Do you have nightmares? People are traumatized when they are asleep and when they are awake. Are you having nightmares? Bad dreams coming to you at night? During the day, I call them images, mental images that keep passing through your mind. And some of those mental images, they move from being mental images to real images. You can see, like, I saw something. That is part of trauma. Or seeing somebody coming back to you all the time. Those are nightmares or mental images. You may also want to write painful things that you may have done against other people. Did you do anything bad to someone and it hurts you? Painful things you may have done. To other people. Okay? The final thing I would like you to write about is secondary trauma in terms of painful things that you experience. You saw, you heard, painful things that you experienced. That you experienced, that means you saw them, all you heard. Sometimes it is hearing. You hear bad stories about people. It causes trauma, deep trauma when you hear bad things happen that happen to other people. It traumatizes you. You need to write something about that. So we have like 5 key areas. Write about grief. I don't know, when you look at that grief picture I have drawn, I don't know where you see yourself for that grief journey. Where are you at with that grief journey? Are you in crisis? Are you in village 1? Are you in village 2? Are you in village 3? Where are you at? Where are you at with that grief journey? Write about it. Write about your own church. Your church has suffered tremendous losses this year. From January, there have been several funerals in the church, even in Milele, like mother to Renson Mbuthia. You know, how did that affect you? I got to know about that loss, but I know about several others, including the losses of our brothers and sisters in the churches here in the parish. You know, even the loss in the family of Reverend Merengo. He also lost a brother. How did that affect the church, you know? Sometimes it's the loss of President Kibaki. When a leader dies, the country can be plunged into gloom and fear and grief. How did that affect you? Maybe present has affected you deeply. These are things I've seen happening to people. Maybe the death of Kibaki traumatized you. Please write about it. Write about, I feel grief. When you write, you say how you feel. You explain how you feel. Write it well, because nobody's going to read it. I'm not going to read it. It's for you. Right? For you to write it, you bring out the pain. Don't write it like, is he going to read about what I'm saying? I'm not going to read anything. We just want you to write that the pain may come out. Then we walk out there together and burn those papers. I'm not going to read them. So as you write them, write in Kikuyu, write in Kimeru, write in Kijaruo, write in whatever language that you feel like it is okay for you to write in. Okay? If you want more papers to write, there's a brother who is moving around with the papers. He's right here. Yeah, okay, over there. Pass more papers over there. Yeah, over there, more papers. Please write. You can write every death on its own paper, because the papers are small. Or every pain on papers. Okay? We are giving you a few minutes to be able to write a few minutes. Then we are going to deal with it quickly together. The other thing I would like you to do, I would like you, as you continue writing, the other thing I said I want to mention about today is about forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is a breeding ground for trauma. And unforgiveness is a breeding ground for trauma. I want to say that again. Unforgiveness is a breeding ground for trauma. Are there people who you feel pain when you remember them? Some of them could be brothers, others could be sisters, others could be parents. Sometimes even those parents may be dead, but there's still pain about what they did to you. Abandonment, they didn't take you to school, they didn't treat you as one of the family children, and it is still painful. Please write about it. Parents, how were you treated by your parents? Was it okay? Did you feel trauma by the way parents were treating you? Or did you feel abandoned even when you were young? How did you feel? So please write about that as well. Rejection. Do you want to write about rejection? The question you were asking yesterday, and even your children came up with that, rejection. So this paper was telling me that please come back again. And thank you very much for the good work. Please come again and talk with the following groups: youth, ladies from age 27 to that 6 years. Those are single, they are singles. Then parents. I don't know whether it's one parent. Please, we need, I can't read that one. Did you read this, Reverend? So there's that last statement I'm not able to read, the last one. Oh, please, we need help. Thank you. Please, we need help. So this one is not even for me to decide. It's the church leadership. Actually, they should be with the chairman and his board, that there's a request about coming back to talk to the groups. Youth, and I know we didn't do anything for youth, but yeah, this is from your people. I have another one here, and this is my friend was married and he lost his dear. It is now heading 2 years, and the in-laws Reverend, you're the one who knows the writing of your people because you are their pastor. Are you still writing, or we are done? Anybody still writing? Is there anybody who is still writing? Yes? Okay, go ahead. Anybody else writing?
My friend was married and he lost his dear. It is now heading to 2 years, but the in-laws are buying her from getting married.
Are they doing what? This is what I couldn't get.
It's like preventing her from
Ah,
getting married
okay.
again because he needs to pay dowry of that dead woman. When they told him they still are debt to pay, and they have refused to give him the child.
Ah. Wow. Okay. Did I tell you Reverend knows the writing of her people? She was able to read it, although we had to uncode one word, binding. Binding like wanakataza. Okay, this is what it says. My friend was married and he lost his dear. It is now heading to 2 years, but the in-laws are binding, that is refusing him getting married again because he need to pay dowry of that dead woman. When he took, they told still have debt to pay, and they have refused to give out the child. They have refused to give out the child. Umesikia hiyo vile imesema? Okay. Who has an answer to that one? Let me hear from the congregation. In my participatory learning, some things I throw them back to you. Kina mami, kuna wale mumesikia? Daktari, you like to say something?
Traditionally, you have to pay dowry for the wife you had before you take another one.
Yes.
So it's very important that you pay. Sio kurukaruka hapa na pale. Unalipa kwanza. Yeah, that's a mark of seriousness in what you're doing.
That's the truth. Anybody else has something to say about it? Anyone else has something to say? Hakulipia yule amekufa ameenda na wako na mtoto, na hiyo jamii imekatalia mtoto mpaka alipe mahali ya msichana wao ambaye ameenda. Umeelewa? Yeah. Did I hear that? Okay. Is that a question? Hey, is everybody, anyone still writing? Is anyone still writing? Are we done? If you're still writing, we can still allow you some more time. If all of us are done, we want to move. Okay. I feel like it's all done. Did you write everything? You okay? Don't leave anything. Childhood experiences that were painful, don't leave them out. Ensure everything is on paper. Adulthood, including when you are youth. All those things. It's good to write about them. Okay. Okay. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to, Chairman, if you need to go and burn those papers at that area where there are those, where we were with the children. We need a wheelbarrow because we will burn it on where we can't, we need to have it in a place that is controlled. It can't burn anything else other than just the metallic container, maybe like a wheelbarrow. We had a wheelbarrow yesterday with the children. Okay. So you carry your paper with you, and we are going to all put it together. As I said earlier, nobody will read your paper. Nobody will read your paper. It's all for you and your God. Mine is to help you along the way to be able to find a closure that you can start a healing journey. Some of you, I'm not saying that the journey will be ended. Some of you are doing this to start a journey, a new journey of healing. But the good thing is that there is a journey that is going to begin taking place. Some of you are just been there. Nothing is going on. Nothing is moving backward. You are just there. Right now, we are going to begin a journey of healing. And that's why this is important. Others among you are going to begin having a closure, ending. We still have more. Huh? Okay. Hey, this is a big letter. Reverend, your people are still writing. Now that, okay. Now that you are far from us, and again, you cannot handle everyone, do you have any place or anyone you can recommend around Mombasa? Where and how are you found if I want to refer someone? Sometimes it's not possible to get a professional for various reasons. How can you help? How can you help? How can you help yourself or your child to overcome trauma? If there's somebody in the media house, you can project my final page on that PowerPoint. It has my contact information. That is the first answer. I don't know anybody in Mombasa that I can recommend. Actually, I've tried to do it because as the chairman was saying, there are people who have called our office, and sometimes when you call, it's not even me you talk to. You may talk to our accountant, you may talk to someone else, and all they will do is give you information how the procedure that you need to go through. So sometimes I'll get to know later that somebody had called from Mombasa, and sometimes it may be even from the church. That's why the chairman was saying, you take advantage when I'm here because you can still reach me. Sometimes when I'm back in Nairobi, even that number that you find there, can we project that number? Baba Blessing, can you get the final page of that PowerPoint? It has my contact information. Sometimes when you call, you don't find me. You get somebody else who receives those calls and organizes the appointments for me, for clients. So, but it's okay to still call. I have another number that is a personal one, the private one. Getting treatment is important. Many people have recovered from PTSD. There's a final page. It's not that one. There's a final page that has our address. So I don't have anybody in Mombasa that I can recommend as at now. And I've tried to do it because there are people who call the office and then they are not able to find the help they need. The other thing I'm doing, I'm seeing people online. I'm seeing people online. I don't need to be here to see you, first of all. I'm seeing people online who are here, who are in Nakuru, who are in Chicago, who are in Texas, who are in England. I see them online. I see them online. So this day of technology, we don't even need to see each other one-on-one. You can't even come all the way. You are here in Mombasa, you can't come all the way to Nairobi. If you can come, it's still okay. But sometimes it is easier for me to just use my laptop and connect with you, and we talk on the video, and I can see you, and you can see me, and we talk about it. So that is how I'd like to handle that one. Children, child trauma. The child needs to be treated like an adult. Just the way an adult needs to be treated because they have trauma, the same way we do it with a child. I would have wanted to know what is the age of this child. But we treat children just the way we treat adults. And they get healed and they grow normal lives. They grow normal lives. So that is how I can answer that one. So, Lois, I've answered this one. Is Lois around? They couldn't get that page. My number, let me give my number, my phone number, 0722 311 563. And maybe here I can give also let me give my other line, my personal line, because it is St. Margaret, I'll give my personal line. Because of St. Margaret and Milele. When I say St. Margaret, I mean both Milele and St. Margaret Kizingo. But you are both St. Margaret Parish. So my personal line is 0780. The rest of the numbers are the same. That is an Airtel line. That's what I use as my personal line. And some of you, they have both of them. So sometimes when you call the 0722, somebody else will pick it, not me. Or sometimes if you call, if I pick it, I will tell you that somebody will call you back because they will deal with you about that, because mostly I don't deal with it. About appointments, arrangement, what. But I've also given you, that's my personal line, the Airtel line. Our email address, for those who like to write long stories. Sometimes I try to read them, I read halfway, then I go, I come, I read another time, I go, I come, I read again, and I finish. It's like a book. PMM, that's also a personal email address, PMMBOGOH@gmail.com. So that is P.M.Mbogo with an H at the end. P for Peter, M for Masharia, then Mbogo, and Mbogo has an H at the end, and then at gmail.com. Yeah. But recently we have another one. Okay, it's already here. This is our website. It's up and running. mentalwellnesshelp.org. That is also an email address for the office. So even that one, we will be able to see it. But maybe somebody else will see it even before me. But the one I've given is my personal email, the P.M.Mbogo. That one I'll see it myself. That this one, of course, it will be seen in the office, then I'll be told it was seen. And then I'll be told what it's all about. So we want to go and do our closure over there, burning those papers. I know the chairman went ahead to go and finish off with that. And we can also end the meetings there. We can do a closure there. We have church leaders who would like to do a closure. They can do it there when we are done with burning the papers, so we don't need to come back here. So carry your stuff. And then that area where there are cablos, we'll burn the papers from there, pray together. Then if there are final submissions to be done by the church leadership, maybe the chairman, maybe the elders, then it can be done there. Then once we are done with that, we'll just be done and go home. Okay, Reverend, is that okay? You know, I'm announcing that because, is that okay? Okay. Okay, we are going to rise up nicely and walk all the way to the Cabros area, that open area in the parking area. And then we are going to be able to finish off at that point.
There's a lady I'm going to introduce to you who lost the husband.
Is she the one who talked to me? This one I saw today. Huh? Okay, she's another one.
There's another one. But she asked that I introduce her to you because she would want to do sessions. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go up there after we are done. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can talk to her as the people are going to.
Yes, make sure
Let me.